Thursday, May 10th. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, failing to come up with anything better, we go down the list of listeners' suggested Thursday show ideas. Let's do this.
So I have a message. I don't think anyone involved in the organization I'm about to call out is ever going to listen to our show, and that's fine. But to After Hours Formalwear, fuck you, die in a fire. Your After Hours Formalwear is now on my top 15 boycotted businesses.
Well, I don't know enough about the company itself.
Oh, I don't care about their business practices.
I know, but that one employee definitely, and that particular branch definitely.
See, here's the background story is two friends of ours are getting married. Hey, this is going to be fun. I got to get a tuxedo for it, and it has to be the right kind of tuxedo, and they registered through After Hours Formalwear. Whatever, I just have to go to this place, one of them, get fitted, then go before I drive to the wedding, pick up the tuxedo, and then drop it back off the next Monday. No big deal. So, I go, eventually, because it turns out that there aren't any anywhere near our house at all.
There is one in the one mall, 15 minutes up the road.
It's more than 15 minutes. Because remember, to actually get to that mall and to park somewhere and to get into that stupid place and then to get back, it takes about 45 minutes to go to the mall, not counting doing anything at the mall.
It doesn't take 45 minutes to get to the mall.
Actually, yeah, it does.
No, it does.
To get and come back?
Oh, the driving total to get there and come back, maybe.
Which is what I said. And it's often taken us a bit more than that, just because of all the other issues on the road and construction or slow traffic.
Usually because we stop in other places. And
usually because Scott says it doesn't take so long, but every time I watch my cell phone, I keep track of exactly how long it takes. And it's always a lot longer than Scott thinks it is.
Well, next time we're going to I'll look. You don't show me the stopwatch, though. I think you're trying to hide something.
All right.
So next time we're going to look at the clock when we leave.
Anyway,
Look at the clock
it's
when
a
we get
gigantic pain in the ass to go up there.
It is a gigantic pain
Plus,
in the
remember,
ass.
it's not like I can really go on weekends because we're always busy or out of town on weekends. So I'd have to go on a weekday after work when it's already 6:30 by the time I get home, and I'm already sweaty. And that road, because of rush hour, it would take 45 minutes just to get to the mall in the rush hour.
Oh, in the rush hour? Absolutely.
Which is the only time we can go.
Yep.
So finally, after 2 weeks of trying to go to this stupid place, we end up going halfway up the road anyway. So I convinced Scott to drive me the rest of the way to the stupid mall.
Where I didn't need to go.
I didn't need to go either, it turned out.
Think about how nice I am. Rim never goes anywhere he doesn't need to go, no matter how badly I need to go
Yes,
there.
I do, often.
No, when?
I drove you to the grocery store a bunch of times when all I needed was a bag of apples, and I didn't really need them.
When was this?
Back when I still drove around.
Sure.
Yeah, plus I drove your ass around for years in college.
And not so much. We didn't in college. We never went anywhere we needed to go because we didn't need to go anywhere.
Yeah, we did. Groceries.
We didn't need groceries in college.
Yeah, we did.
No.
Anyway.
Mr. Meal Plan, I needed them more than you did.
Anyway, so we finally get up there, and the employee is basically just standing there, and yet he will not serve me. He keeps saying, "We're busy. I'll get to you in 45 minutes." And he just stands there.
The guy, I went into the store because I was mostly just, if I'm at the mall, I'm not going to spend my time waiting with Rim doing his BS. I'm going to go around the mall and maybe save the trip, so I actually get something out of my trip to the mall.
We did get something out of it. We saw that horrible bootleg anime store.
Oh, we did, yes. But so I go in there to get Rim, what's the deal? And I see this guy. He's standing there leaning on the counter, holding the tape measure. Obviously, he's a tailor of some sort. And he's just standing there, not talking, not doing anything.
And he keeps saying, I got an alteration to do. You'll have to wait. You'll have to come back.
Why aren't you doing it?
So I stuck around. I said, all right, I'll come back. And I came back.
That guy should be glad that I wasn't the customer.
A good half hour, 35 minutes later. And it's a little busy now. He's obviously the only employee in this stupid place. And he still will not serve me. And when I try to ask him, hey, I have places to be. Is there any way? All I need is to be measured for this tuxedo. It'll take a second. And he's just so rude. He basically won't serve me at all. And so I'm like, well, can I make an appointment? And he's like, we don't do appointments. So I'm like, well, fuck this. And I just leave. Because at this point, I've wasted almost 50 minutes on this stupid thing.
I would have yelled at the guy either he would have had to start a fight with me and go to jail, or something.
Okay, Mr. Combat.
I would have just yelled at the guy until he caved in. Seriously, at that point.
See, at that point, I decided, all right, I just will not give your store my business.
That also. But I would have also yelled at him and then not given him my business.
I get home, I've given up.
Like, if I yelled at him and then he gave in and said, okay, I'll size you, I'd be like, no, I don't want it now because you suck.
So
Bye.
anyway, I go home and I look online, and these After Hours Formalwear have pretty much zero useful locations anywhere people live. There aren't any down in Manhattan I can go to that are accessible. They're all in like Long Island or New Jersey, way out of my way. So I end up driving to one in some stupid town in a strip mall somewhere in New York.
Oh, you went to another one?
And you know what? The exact same goddamn thing happened.
Really?
Yeah. Though this time, the guy was actually busy. But while he was actually busy, he would not take the time to help me, and he couldn't tell me when he could help me, and I waited there for well over a half hour, and he's just answering the phone and answering the phone and answering the phone and filling out paperwork, and there's all these, and just, these stores just can't seem to deal with any number of customers, and the guy was totally rude, and after waiting too long, I had to go back to work. Fuck this, and I left.
I would just stop trying.
So today,
it's not worth it.
So today, I drove to fucking White Plains.
You actually tried again?
To the worst mall. This is the mall I bought the Apple in. The Mac. This is probably the worst mall in the world. And when I say the worst, I mean it's opulent, it's super expensive, it's gigantic, it's designed like a maze.
That's White Plains.
It very specifically is designed to not allow people to get in without cars. Easily.
That's White Plains.
And I hate this mall. I can't stand being in there. It's painful for me to be in there. So I drive 45 minutes to this place during the workday, and I go in, and I go to this After Hours Formalwear, and the exact same fucking thing happens to me again.
Really?
Yeah, 3 times, 3 different stores, same deal. The employee acted in the same manner, wouldn't serve me. There's a bunch of other people waiting. They're just doing bullshit paperwork or answering the phone or just standing there. And then finally, they're helping the person before me after I've been waiting for an hour.
Wow.
And
you didn't yell at them any of these 3 times.
No, I was so paid. This is probably the most sufferance of fools I've ever engaged in my entire life.
I don't even know why you suffered a single fool. You didn't have to. You shouldn't have had to.
I have done this all for the sake of my 2 friends who are getting married. And I'm going to get to the moral of all this at the end. Because I've made a resolution in my life. So the people in front of me, like this one guy and this other guy and this other guy, they're just standing there, and I figure they need something quick. They need to be measured. And it ends up being this gigantic thing where they don't like the pants because the pants are too tight. And the guy who's saying the pants are too tight is wearing pants that are like 8 sizes too big, hanging off his ass. I can see his ass. And yet he wants to wear his tuxedo low like that. And the lady's like, you can't wear a tuxedo that way. And they go through this whole thing. And then she's trying to scan his credit card. His credit card doesn't work. And the name's not right. And all this crap. And finally, I get served.
Oh my God. I didn't think that was going to happen.
And, well, it's going to cost me more than twice as much as any tuxedo I've ever rented in my life.
Wow.
For one. It's $150.
For $150, I just buy a tuxedo.
No, because the tuxedo is like $400.
But the thing is, to rent one for one night, it's not like...
No. How many times have I had to wear a tuxedo in my life? I will name them.
Yes, however, let me submit this. I know you. If you owned a tuxedo for $400, would you wear it you would intentionally wear it at times that were not necessary. You would wear it more than 3 times, and it would be worth it to buy one for $400 as opposed to rent one for $150.
Now, Scott, while I agree with you on that point in most cases, because I do like to dress up a lot more than I have chance to, and I will just wear a suit to work if I have any excuse at all. But a $400 tuxedo is kind of crappy for one, and I don't like tuxedos.
But it's a $600 tuxedo. You have to wear it 4 times for it to be a good deal.
It is my opinion that tuxedos are horrible and ugly and unstylish. I really don't like tuxedos.
Oh, we agree on something.
I much prefer to wear some sort of nice 3-piece suit. I like suits. I like sport jackets. I hate tuxedos. They're everything about them bothers me. They're not actually fashionable. They just pick what's fashionable, and then you have to wear it.
I think the point of dress clothes is
Now
they're similar to sunglasses. The more money they cost, the more people they look good on. Even a fat, ugly, nasty guy, he looks all right in a tuxedo because it covers so much. And it's so slick itself that if you're an ugly, horrible person, you wearing that, you're okay to look at.
But the thing is, when I see a tuxedo, the only thing I think is that guy's either going to a wedding or a high school prom because no one wears tuxedos anywhere else. At least not.
Guys don't even wear tuxedos to prom so much anymore either.
Yeah, we all did. But my tuxedo cost me $40 to rent, and it was the same tuxedo.
Well, it was also a kid size. There's a lot less material going on.
I wasn't a kid size. I was the same size in high school I am now.
No. Anyway.
Actually, I'm a little thinner now. So, yeah, I could go on and on, but I just think tuxedos are kind of ugly and garish, and I really don't like them. And while there are occasions where a tuxedo I would feel would be justified, like a white tie formal dinner, that is not the kind of tuxedo you get at a mall in White Plains. That's the kind of tuxedo you pay a lot of money for.
Yeah.
So, there's no reason for me to buy a tuxedo, and I'm gonna have to spend this $150 and all that. So I finally get the thing, and the lady's like, I'm sorry it took so long, blah, 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 and I was very nice to her, despite all this. And I pay my $150 on my credit card, and I walk out, and I decided now, from this point forward in my life, other than this wedding, because I've already committed to it, so I gotta wear the stupid tuxedo, I will never, in the rest of my life, I give my solemn word, wear a rented, cheap, or crappy tuxedo to any occasion, for any reason, for any person, ever again.
I already had that resolution, and I've never even worn a tuxedo in my life.
If I am ever put into a situation where a tuxedo is necessary, and I feel that I really need to wear a tuxedo, I'm going to get a custom, real tuxedo, and I'm going to pay whatever that costs.
And whatever it costs to get served right away, you're paying so much money that they'll put the other customers, make them wait longer.
I hate to say this, but I used to think when I was a kid, and I'd see people who would spend, like, ungodly amounts of money for something that was effectively the same as something that I got cheaper, only for the convenience of having it in an easier fashion. But now I fully see the value of that because time is so much more valuable than money.
Yes, I agree with that. It is worth it for me at this point that I have enough money to pay for convenience. However, I don't really think for me personally, almost no clothing is no single item of clothing or a single arrangement of clothing to be worn at the same time is worth more than like $50.
Yeah, well,
just because I really don't care about
arrangement
clothes.
At the same time. I mean, all my pants cost more than $50.
Yeah. I mean, my shorts cost like $20, but like if I was to pay $50 for a single clothing, it would have to be like some super awesome, one of a kind, like Metroid anniversary shirt signed by the guy who made Metroid.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say metrosexual, and instead you said Metroid. I think that is one of the defining things that makes Geeknights what it is.
Okay.
But honestly,
Geeknights officially unendorses. Well, I guess we never did endorse, but we anti-endorse all tuxedo rental places.
No, just After Hours Formalwear, because the times I rented tuxedos in my youth for other events, I did not have nearly this difficulty. I walked in, measured me.
Now, don't you have to go to one of these places to pick the tuxedo up?
Oh, you realize before this wedding on Thursday, I have to either during rush hour or sometime during the day drive all the fuck way out to White Plains, go to this goddamn mall again, pay for parking, walk 20 minutes inside
pay for
of the
parking
mall.
At a mall?
Yeah, it keeps the riffraff out. It's like $3. It's just to keep riffraff out.
White Plains.
I really don't like White Plains.
White Plains is where all these rich, uppity Jews live.
Nah. See, I don't mind the people who live there. I mind the atmosphere of the commercial sectors there and the roads. Because 287 is on my shit list of the 10 roads I desire least to ever be on.
Well, 287, like Tappan Zee Bridge, connect New York to New Jersey. All right. 287 east of like the Tappan Zee, not all right.
287, pretty much anywhere where we live.
East of like 87 is no good.
No,
east of 9.
God, during rush hour, anywhere near 87. Anywhere in 10 miles in either direction of 87. You don't want to be anywhere near that goddamn road.
No, you don't want to be near it during rush
hour.
Yeah,
but After Hours Formalwear, I'm not even going to complain to the company because
how come you're not going to complain?
Because the best they're going to do is send me some kind of promotional thing, but I don't ever want to go
Maybe
here
you'll
again.
just get some money back out of you from your $150.
I hope so, because $150.
At the worst, they send you a coupon. At the best, you get your money back and maybe some redemption.
$150 would have turned the GeForce 7900 GS that is sitting next to me in my half-built computer that I really want to end this show and finish building because that motherboard is so pretty.
It's a really nice motherboard, let me tell you. I hope it works in Linux.
Oh my God. You know what? The motherboard's so nice, if the current kernel doesn't support it, I'll suffer through Windows a couple months.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
All right. Okay.
We have a nerdgasm here.
So now that we're done.
Yeah, so fuck you, After Hours Formalwear, and every employee you have.
Also, I just want to say, but we could do a whole show on this. Oh, I really don't like the current American tradition of weddings, and I think it's stupid.
Oh, we're doing a show on that.
What,
Granted, our friends are actually going about it in a much smarter way than most people.
In a smarter way than most people, but they are not taking it to the extreme that I would prefer, which is go to the courthouse, it takes 10 minutes and costs like $5.
My mom did it pretty awesomely when she remarried. They went to the courthouse and did a nice little ceremony. It was a really well done ceremony.
And what cost what?
I don't know, not much.
All right.
And then we went back to our house, and they had a gigantic Hawaiian pig roast.
And how much did that cost?
Not much. And you know what?
Your mom's awesome.
It was awesome.
That's how it's got to be, people. You don't need to spend...
I mean, I set up the music. I did the music for my mom's wedding, and it worked really well, because we had this big surround system. I just hacked it into my brand new computer, and I played the music.
People spend, like... there's a guy at my work. He's going to a wedding, right? And he's like sub best man. He's like the...
So he's one of the groomsmen.
Yes. And he had to go to a dinner rehearsal yesterday.
That's what I have to go to.
Really?
Yeah, I've got to go Friday for that. But that'll be fun, because I get free food.
And then he's got to go do the tuxedo thing today, and then he's got the wedding is going to last all weekend, and the people who are having the wedding, it's costing them $75,000.
All right. Now, I have a very similar story at my work, where we were talking about weddings and whatever, and back at my old work, back at IBM, I was a lot more vocal about my opinions, because the people there generally were a lot more... I don't want to say intelligent, but interested in debate and arguing as opposed to just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So also, I actually ate with them. I don't really eat with anyone at my current work, so I really don't have much opportunity to argue with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an argument where I was talking about how, if you go to a flower place and you say you want flowers for an event, they give you X price. If you send someone else in and order the exact same thing, but say it's for a wedding, they'll charge you quite a bit more money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have verified this. You can verify it yourself.
Yeah, if you want to verify it, get two friends, go to a florist and say, I want a bouquet of these flowers, and then pay for it. And then send your other friend in to get the same exact flowers, but say it's for a wedding, specifically, and see what they charge you.
Well, really not for a single bouquet, but for like a flower arrangement. Or the flowers for an event, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, we got to do another show on that because we've got actual things to talk about.
I hate weddings. There's no point in spending so much money on one single party. You could have gone on vacation. You could have bought a house. You could have bought a car. You're an idiot.
$75,000.
You could have bought a BMW, which would have lasted you for many years.
Oh, I didn't make my point. I didn't finish my anecdote.
Okay.
I just kind of went nowhere with that. So we're talking, and I was like, and he's talking about a wedding, and he's like, this wedding is going to cost, and it was the same kind of number you just gave, some ludicrous number for this crazy amount of money on the wedding. And I was like, they could have had the exact same wedding for maybe not half that price, but at least a significant percentage off without having to sacrifice any of the quality. And the dude didn't believe me.
Yeah. People just refuse to accept that they fucked up.
But
if they believe
it's your
what they
special
told
day. It's your special day. You got to spare no expense because this only happens once. It's your special day. That's the argument
just like every other
use.
fucking day, except it's a day I'm signing a contract. If I want to celebrate signing a contract, I'll have a party. A party can't go over a certain level of fun. It doesn't take that much to get fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing
is...
It
takes like $100, a fire, and some meat.
See, the thing is, I have no problem with the idea of a wedding or any of that, or even marriage. The only thing that bothers me is the wedding planning industry.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
In the United States. We're not disparaging weddings. We're disparaging the wedding planning industry, much like the funeral home industry.
I was just going to mention the funeral home industry.
The prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So in the news.
Oh, my God. The news.
Scott didn't expect this because I kept this all bottled up for the last 3 weeks.
Well, I knew that you had the trouble the first time, but I didn't know you had 3 more troubles.
Never in your wildest dreams would you think that I would have the same problem at 2 additional stores.
I'm surprised that you didn't, blow those stores up and you're not on the news as some sort of terrorist.
Because it's their special day.
Oh.
So, this was on Slashdot, and it appears that the United States government very much
Is outlawing wedding ceremonies? Yes!
wants to somehow limit the access that people have to satellite imagery of the Earth. And, all right, I had a lot more to say about this, but we've already gone a while with our ranting, so I'll keep it short. I don't think that the government really has the right to prevent access to pictures of things from public space.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, the fact that it's not like the U.S. controls all the satellites, and there's a lot of commercial satellites out there and satellites from other countries, and it's not like you can't get access to this. And I really don't see how, short of shooting down a bunch of satellites, this is feasible at all. And in fact, it bothers me, even now, that like Google will, if India, because this happened, India complained that you could see some of their industry and some of their military stuff on Google Earth. So Google very nicely blurred it out. And I say that's crap. If you're a government and you're trying to hide your military operations, you've got to deal with the fact that there are satellites out there and that me, Rim, can sit here in my house and look at your shit.
For thousands of years of human existence, we had no reliable maps. Look at old maps. They suck. People needed better maps. 'Cause with maps, we can actually go around the Earth and know where shit is. It's very important. And now we finally have perfect maps. We have high-resolution imagery of the entire surface of the entire planet. It's so incredibly amazing. And there are people who want to take that away. We should put those people away. All right. So, my news, I don't know, we were going to discuss this a lot. Now I don't know how much we're going to discuss it. It's an article on CNNmoney.com about 4 gas-saving myths, right? There are things that people believe about saving gas, some things that even I believed, that are true and or not true.
Is the acetone trick in there?
No, nothing. If anyone ever tells you that adding something to your fuel, some sort of fuel additive, or putting a sticker on your gas tank, or some sort of magnet somewhere in your fuel
Oh,
intake,
those stupid stickers.
all of those things are complete bullshit. They will not. Think about this, right? You're Chevy, you're General Motors, right? You want to put the highest possible number you can on the windshield of your car for fuel efficiency, right? Now imagine if there was a sticker that if you put it on the gas tank, up the fuel efficiency. Wouldn't you put that sticker on every car and thus raise the fuel efficiency of all your cars? And then a lot of people would buy your cars because they were so much more fuel efficient? I wonder why they don't put these stickers on the gas tanks. Oh, because it's just a fucking sticker. Goddamn, anyone who believed that is an idiot. Anyway, so that's the first myth. The second myth. Now, this is a myth that I believed, in that, okay, if you turn on your air conditioning or you open your windows while you're driving, it hurts your gas mileage. Now, this is true. However, it is apparently, according to various studies, the amount of significance to how much gas mileage you lose by opening windows or turning on air conditioning is really not that much compared to other factors.
However, I do point out, because Scott and I argued about this quite a bit before the show, and in the interest of time, we'll leave all the argument out because we came to a consensus that this study is technically correct, but what speed were they going at? 55?
65.
65. I think that starts to break down when you're going, I don't know, 80, 90.
Yes, if you're going really fast and you've got like the sunroof and all the windows open, that is gonna hurt you a measurable amount. Still not as much as some other factors, but you're probably going fast on the highway. You're probably a little bit better off with the air conditioning. And going around town, it doesn't really matter. I mean, seriously.
Yep. Well, there's also the fact that, I mean, my personal experience, one of the things I've always done as long as I've owned cars is every time I fill up the gas tank, I always fill it, and then I click the trip meter.
Yep.
And
I used to do that. Now I stopped. Yeah, I got out of the habit because I go to the gas station so not often now.
Well, the main reason I do it is that I always keep track of how much gas mileage I'm getting. And in fact, I used to keep a spreadsheet of every time I filled my tank, the gas mileage I'd gotten. I'd always calculate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, I could see not necessarily trends in my driving, because I know pretty well from years of experience how different kinds of driving affect my gas mileage. What I did is I used this to tell if anything is going wrong with my car. Because if my gas mileage starts dropping in a trend, something is wrong. And several times I've been able to use this to realize that something was indeed wrong. Like my transmission was kind of going. My front end was a little out of alignment.
Yep. Well, you can just tell that by the tires. Anyway, the next myth. There's apparently a myth that I did not know that it's cheaper to buy gas on Wednesday because gas prices go up on the weekend. And while this is true, sometimes gas can be more expensive on the weekend, sometimes some places. On the whole, if you buy all your gas on Wednesday as opposed to just buying it when you need it, it's not going to make a significant difference in how much you spend on gas.
Yep. If anything, the best strategy is just to go buy gas in New Jersey.
Yep. Here's another myth that I actually believed. Now, I thought that, like light bulbs, the turning on your car used quite a bit of gas.
In fact, my driver's ed instructor in high school even told me that.
Yep. So it's like, okay, if you have a choice between, sitting in your car and letting it idle without moving anywhere for like 5 minutes, or turning it off and then turning it on 5 minutes later, I thought that it was probably a better idea just to idle there. But if you waited like 10 minutes, then it was probably a better idea to start and stop the car. Apparently, if you have a modern car, which you have a modern car. Your car does not have a carburetor unless it's an old hot rod or a really old classic car like a Model T or some 50s car. Your car has fuel injection.
Yep, and you have a thing called that coil, the inductant coil.
Or something like
that. The thing that broke on my Sunfire twice.
Right. You have fuel injection. You do not have a carburetor in your car. Well, NASCAR actually still uses carburetors, which is one of the reasons I hate NASCAR. But, therefore, if you are idling for even 30 seconds, like if you're stopping at someone's house, like putting something on their, like you're a UPS guy, you stop, you put something on their porch, you get back in the car, it's worth it to turn the engine off.
Well, maybe not UPS guy because that's diesel.
No, actually, UPS themselves, this is why I said UPS guy, they did a study and they told all the UPS guys to turn off the trucks whenever they get out.
Hot damn.
And they save money that way. They also make only right turns whenever possible.
I knew that. I think we talked about that.
All right. Here are some ways. Now, those are the factors that people thought were significant to fuel mileage, but are not. Here are the significant factors. Well, pretty much, there's only two. You can save about like 7% or so using your cruise control. Cruise control saves you money on the highway. Number two, if your tires are properly inflated, that's going to save you something. Reducing weight in your car. If you take the golf clubs out of the trunk when you're not going golfing, that's going to save you in the long run because you have less weight in your car. That's actually a factor. But the most significant factor by far that can save you anywhere from 15 to 98 cents a gallon is just don't go too fucking fast. I mean, we're always talking about how speed limits are bullshit, and when it comes to safety versus towns trying to rob people from out of town to support their local governments, yes, speed limits are bullshit. However, it's absolutely true that if you were to drive your car, say, 85, 90 miles an hour on the highway all the time, that would use a lot more gas because your car is not very aerodynamic.
Yep, it depends really on exactly what kind of car, what kind of transmission, what kind of engine.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a Ferrari, you could probably go 80. I mean, the Ferrari doesn't have good gas mileage to begin with, but going 85 in the aerodynamic Ferrari or Lotus Elise is not going to hurt the overall gas mileage of the car compared to what the car gets for gas mileage with its giant V8 engine.
Well, my current car, and I keep track of my gas mileage. I get the best gas mileage at about 74 miles an hour. Like just under 75 is when I get absolute optimal gas mileage.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where my car gets optimal gas mileage. It's a little hard to tell, mostly because I didn't keep perfect track. I kept semi-track. But like between 65 and 75 somewhere around there. It's mostly the RPMs that I look at. You know, if I keep it around between 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs, I can get the most out of the car all the time.
Yep, you want to be in that good power band.
Yep.
Things of the day. This was on Dig, and I saw it for a while. People are posting that it's really old, but I don't care because it's new to me, and I think it's new to a lot of people. It's a video called Mother's Day Picture Rofl. The T is silent.
Oh, yep, that one's new to me also.
Well, I ignored it for a while because it didn't look like it was going to be something funny, and it didn't really get super dug up or anything, but we eventually clicked on it because there was really nothing on Dig yesterday.
Yeah, it's just like, this is a video I probably never would have clicked on in my entire life, and I just really didn't care about a Mother's Day picture. It looked like some stupid thing two guys put together that wasn't funny. So I just ignored it, but we were so bored, we clicked on it anyway.
Well, it not only met expectations, but far exceeded them, and I did Rofl.
Yeah, it's not the funniest thing ever, but it was pretty funny, and I didn't expect it to be funny at all.
Yeah,
so the win for them.
Can't ruin anything, but suffice to say, the first instance where he just punches the other guy in the nipple, That is when I just started cracking up.
It's a good video. You should watch it. It's funny.
Yeah, I can't say more without ruining the joke.
All right, now, a while ago, I think Rim had a thing of the day, which was the algorithm dance, which is a dance.
From Pitakara Suichi.
Yes. So, this is a video of also the algorithm dance, but it's not from the TV show where they're doing the algorithm dance. This is from a prison in the Philippines where they have a record-breaking performance of the algorithm dance by the prisoners.
You know, I was talking a lot about my top 10 and top 15 list in the rant at the beginning of this. Filipino prison, real high on my do not want to be list.
Oh, yes, I definitely don't want to be in the Filipino prison. However, it seems to me like the Filipino prison actually, from this video alone, which isn't much to judge by, seems to be a lot better than the American prison, which I imagine is full of just lots of rape in the butt.
Well, here's the problem. My knowledge of American prison comes from a lot of documentaries, so I actually have real knowledge, but to be more silly, my media knowledge comes from Oz, mostly, and that prison comics I picked up at Mocha.
Oh, yeah, that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, you know what I
forgot about that. Do you still have that?
You know what I like? Yeah, I got it somewhere. You know what I like more than killing people? Nothing. Stab. Except maybe biscuits.
Yeah, this video has no shivs.
I was really expecting a shiv. You know the part where they swing left and right? I was just waiting for one person to just have a shiv in his hand.
Yeah. It seems to me like they run those prisons a lot like military detention centers. Like they have these guys lined up and following orders and stuff, which is, in American prisons, I don't think that's how it goes.
Prison's not so bad. Of course, it's shank or be shanked.
Of course.
But you can make sangria in the toilet.
All right.
I'm aware it was out of order.
Yes, I know. All right, so we couldn't figure out what to do today.
Well, we have a couple
We had a bunch of ideas.
We have two crab peoples, just because we went so long on, the beginning.
Opening bit, yes.
That we wouldn't do either of those ideas justice. We're holding off on them. Also, that new computer is just looking at me.
Yeah, and it's already late here, much later than I thought, because Rim has caused me great delays today.
Well, partly because we were playing out the Cold War again.
And building a computer, and we spent a lot of time in between the two halves of the show, and whatever. Oh, so I did, remember last week, I promised that we were going to, I asked for listener suggestions, and listeners gave suggestions on what to do on Thursday night. So, I said last week, since we asked for the suggestions, whether we think they're good or bad, we're going to do them anyway because you asked for them. So if they suck, it's your fault. Well, I realized today that you really suck at giving ideas for what to do shows on.
I think the interesting thing is that we get a lot of ideas from email and a lot in the forums. And most of the things people suggest are the same thing over and over again. You know how many people say do an episode on food?
We've already done like 2 episodes on food.
2? You realize there was a time when every Thursday we ended up talking about food for a while because we had nothing better. We got our friend Adam on the show, and we literally made the show about food because he happened to have a funny food anecdote.
Yep. And the other thing is people give ideas for shows that are so generic and broad. It's like, what would we say? It's like, do a show about food. What do we say about food?
I like food.
There's a whole TV network about food. There's a lot to say. Last week, it was actually kind of okay because the guy had specific questions. He had a whole episode outlined. I mean, it wasn't really, really cohesive with a central idea, but it was a show that was doable because there were questions and I answered them. There were specific discussion topics which we could discuss. And how do you discuss? All right, someone says, food, discuss. What the fuck do you say?
Well, I mean, maybe they're assuming, to play devil's advocate here, that we're so awesome that we would take their seed of an idea and create from it a more specific idea.
If I could do that, I wouldn't need your suggestion. I can think of food also, thanks.
Oh, can you now?
Yes, I just thought
How can you prove it? Because the well's been tainted.
All right, fine, you ready? I'll do another one. You ready? Sleep. Discuss.
I like it.
I like it
a lot.
also.
I don't get enough.
Nope.
I never have.
Nope. The end. So, I just came up with actually a great idea for a show. I'm going to read all these ideas for shows that we're not going to do and tell you why. Let's start at the bottom here. Let's see. I got to find an idea. Oh, I'll say. Ebb in the forum says, so I searched the front page for ninjas and nothing pulled up, oddly enough. So unless I screwed up, you guys really need to do a podcast about ninjas in all caps.
All right, one, we've already made it very clear that we're on the side of pirates.
That is quite obvious. If you haven't noticed our Talk Like a Pirate Day episode, we really are pirate fans, not so much the ninja fans.
We don't do Walk Like a Ninja Day.
No, we don't.
And
However,
back when I DJ'd that RIT Anime Club, the pirate ninja thing, I was in fact DJ Plunder. If you can't figure out what kind of DJ I was.
I also don't think I've ever dressed up as a ninja, yet I've dressed up as a pirate quite often. And I own many articles of pirate costumery.
I dressed up as a ninja when I was in middle school. And in fact, I bought my ninja outfit from an actual, well, not my, like, it wasn't a ninja outfit, but I bought actual karate clothes from some karate place. It wasn't really probably a real karate place, but it was one of those McDojos.
Yeah, McDojo.
But I bought up all the stuff
McDojo.
there.
It's just so funny.
And then I went somewhere else and I bought basically the thing that you would expect a bank robber to wear. And I put it over my face and I became a ninja.
I'm still laughing about McDojo.
And I had 2 real shuriken that I immediately lost, throwing them at things.
McDojo.
I threw one at a tree. It bounced off the tree, bounced into the bushes, never saw it again. Later, I was out in the woods. I threw one at a piece of wood, and it fell to the ground in the leaves. I never found it again. Lost them both within the span of a week.
So ninjas is not something we can really do a whole show on.
We could talk about
just keep saying the word McDojo over and over again and laughing.
I use that word kind of often.
I don't know. I haven't heard it. And like, it's a word I knew, but it didn't. It has to come around in a while, so it's funny again. All right, let's scroll up a little bit.
I also owned a pair of nunchucks.
Ooh.
And I would like to point out that the number of times I hit my target with them was fewer than the number of times I hit myself in the nuts. I threw them away. There, that was the ninja episode.
All right. HMTK Steve says, how about doing a show on the whole carbonated beverages hurt me thing?
Very simply, that's just one of Scott's quirks. There's nothing more I can say about that on my end.
I don't like to drink carbonated beverages. It doesn't feel good. If you want to force me to do it, it's not like I'm afraid. I'll drink one.
Because
I just don't like to, so why should I?
I'll point out that while Scott very clearly refuses to drink alcohol ever, he did try that hobo wine.
I did try the hobo wine. It's like
he also tried a spoonful of rum once.
Yeah, it's not like I'm afraid to death. It's I don't enjoy it, so I don't do it intentionally.
And he said if I ever actually make it, he'll at least try a sip of grog, but I haven't gotten around to trying to make grog.
Just to know what it tastes like, because it's grog.
Yeah,
and as I said, we're on the side of the pirates.
Yeah.
Okay, he also says, what about a show on landing tech jobs and what sort of salary you should request and or expect? Hello, Thursday ideas. Thursday.
Well, did he do that in the Thursday thread?
Yes.
Oh, man, you were so close.
All right. Wally B-Man, Thursday show idea. How about a how not to suck at cooking? Well, that's a little more specific than the food idea.
I think I can answer, though. You could probably also answer why we're not doing this. And I think the answer is we suck at cooking.
Well, I mean, I don't suck at cooking as badly as people who make TV dinners and they can only cook ramen and maybe an egg. But then again, I'm not good enough at cooking to where I'd ever consider thinking that I have the right to tell anyone else how to do it. Most often, I ask other people how to cook. And I would probably like a cooking podcast. Maybe I should look into that.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be a good idea to do.
So you didn't give me a Thursday show idea, but you gave me go downstairs and look for cooking podcast idea.
Yeah, I mean, we're only proficient between the two of us at cooking maybe 20 or so, like, actual dishes. And beyond that, it's trial and error.
Yep. Beyond that, Wally B-Man goes on to say, start off simple with a grilled cheese, then maybe spice it up with a deluxe grilled cheese.
All right, I'm going to let
Anyone can make a grilled cheese.
I'm
I knew
gonna
this
let everyone
retarded
in.
kid when I was in Boy Scouts that made an awesome grilled cheese. Damn, now I'm going to have to go make one or 4.
I eat grilled cheese quite a bit. And people have actually, more than one person has told me on more than one occasion that I make a pretty damn good grilled cheese. And I'm going to let you all in on the secret, because it's not that hard to make a good grilled cheese. Number one, if you think that a microwave is in any way involved in making a grilled cheese sandwich, kill yourself because you're wrong.
One time, my friend's mom made me a grilled cheese with a microwave. It was mushy and disgusting.
Number two, use a Teflon non-stick pan.
Yep.
Number three.
Unless you have a real grill, like at a burger joint where it's a big flat hot piece of metal.
Yeah, which is basically a similar thing. I mean, it has the same effect.
Yes,
because
you
cover
want
that
a
thing in
big
oil.
flat hot piece of metal. That's
Yeah,
all you want.
Don't try to use one of those sandwich making machines.
Well, if you have the garlic cheese presser thingy, it's not some sort of electronic device or anything. It's just a clamp. If you have the grilled cheese
The clamps. You want me to use these clamps? The clamps that I...
Yes. If you have the grilled cheese clamp, you can use it, and I actually prefer the grilled cheese clamp method, but it's not necessary.
So here's what you do. Make the pan hot. Hot enough to where the butter will go psst when you put it on.
But it won't burn.
But not hot enough to where the butter will turn brown before you can put the bread on.
Also, it has to be hot enough to melt cheese.
Yeah, but luckily you can get around that really quickly. The best way to tell is if you sprinkle water on it, does the water bubble up and go psst pretty quickly? If so, you're ready. Take a stick of butter. Go all over the pan to make a nice pool of butter.
Also, go all over the bread.
No, see, I don't do that.
I put the butter on the bread.
See, you don't want to do that usually.
I like to do it that way.
You just put it in the thing and let it melt, and then you drop a piece of bread on it. Then you drop either 1 or 2 slices of cheese, and you want good cheese. Don't use American cheese. Use any other cheese.
Well, American cheese is okay, but actually, if you're going to use American cheese, don't use Kraft singles. Get, slices of nice American from the deli or something like that.
I particularly recommend Monterey Jack for grilled cheese sandwiches because it's good and it has some flavor, but yet it's not so flavorful that you can't do other things to the grilled cheese. Now, here's the trick.
It's really all about the melting point of the cheese. You don't want to use a cheese that's all mushy, and you don't want to use a cheese that won't melt. You gotta
Munster works really well too.
Yeah, Munchie cheese also works.
Yep. So then you put the piece of cheese on. Now, the critical part. I always sprinkle a little bit of dill in there on the cheese.
Oh, you just adding your shit to your cheese.
And dill and sometimes a dash of oregano on the outside when it's almost done.
Not really necessary.
Just a tiny dash. It works pretty well.
I like butter, cheese, and bread toasted.
So anyway, you got the cheese on. Don't put the other piece of bread on yet. Now what you do is you take a small cup of water and you take the lid to your pan and you dump a little bit of water in the pan and then you cover it so the steam...
Don't put the water too close to the bread.
Don't get the water wet. Don't get the bread wet.
Yes.
That's going to ruin your grilled cheese sandwich.
It'll make it all mushy. You want to put the water far away from the bread, but you want it to steam. And then you put the lid on, and it keeps the steam around the bread and in the pan under the lid so it can melt the cheese, but it doesn't make your bread soggy, unless you do a whole lot of water.
So see, you're grilling the bread, and now you've melted the cheese. Now, put the piece of bread on top, pick the grilled cheese up, melt more butter into the pan quickly, and then put it upside down on the grill.
If you would have just put butter on the bread in the first place, you wouldn't have to do the quick butter melting in the pan business. Plus, you could then butter both sides of the bread instead of just one side.
You're only supposed to butter one side of the bread.
I'd butter both sides of the bread.
You're not supposed to do that in a grilled cheese.
It's the way to go.
I think your grilled cheeses are pretty nasty then.
Butter is the best. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you can see why a whole episode cannot be done about food by us.
Well, it could, because we could probably go on arguing about how to make a grilled cheese for another 20 minutes, but...
All right, here we go. Next idea. HMTK Steve again. He says, after reading Hungry Joe's post about old toys, I think the dynamic duo, I guess that's us, should do a show on toys from their childhood. We did! We did do that episode.
Not only that, it's one of our most popular episodes ever. It gets downloaded constantly to this day.
And it's an old shitty episode, too.
Yeah. If we redid it, we just say the same things.
So, duplicate, Hitman Heart says, Star Wars and Star Trek seem to be obvious topics or a general non-anime movie show.
I'd like to talk about it. Scott doesn't know anything about, nor does he like Star Trek.
Nope, I do not like Star Trek, and I know very little about it.
And Star Wars, I think we did an episode.
Did we do an episode on Star Wars?
If we didn't, then we will, and thanks for the suggestion.
There's not much to say about Star Wars other than we really like Star Wars, and we think the same things about it that most other people think.
See, I disagree. I think there's a lot to say about Star Wars.
Like what?
We talk a lot about why I liked it, and the scenes I liked, and the things I
Darth
liked.
Vader is awesome, X-Wings and TIE Fighters are awesome, the Emperor is awesome.
I talk about the aesthetics I like.
Awesome.
I talk about how much or little of an effect George Lucas probably actually had. I talk about the new episodes and why I think they failed compared to the older ones. I could do a show by myself for at least a couple hours about Star Wars.
Yeah, I think it's also still sort of a too general a topic. It's like, are we going to talk about the books and the comics and the movies and the TV shows
and we
and
could.
the toys
it could be an overview of the Star Wars universe.
We could have like a whole Star Wars podcast. It's not a Thursday show.
Yeah, it is. I think it would have been a good Thursday, but Scott was nah on it.
Yeah.
It was only Scott. I thought it was cool.
Star Wars is too big an idea.
I was ready to do the Star Wars episode.
Anyway. Or a general non-anime movie show. Oh.
You realize for the first I don't know, like 5 months of Geek Nights, we always defaulted to doing Thursday about whatever movie we just watched.
Also, lately, we really kind of stopped watching movies besides anime movies. And even then, there's not so many anime movies.
Granted, the only reason is that we haven't had time. And once the Netflix queue goes off the anime that we've been getting to review, we're going to see a bunch of movies again.
It's just, I think mostly lately, there are just too many anime fan subs, and we only really have time to watch things in, like, small blocks as opposed to big hour blocks to, and such. And also, we tend to opt to do something else instead of watch something. We'll always play a game or make something or podcast instead of watching a movie, if we have the option. Okay, I was thinking a Thursday show talking about strange, interesting foods you guys have eaten.
Again with the food.
Again with the food, although the topic is a little more specific, but it's also broad because we eat lots of strange and interesting foods.
Well, the thing is, very little of what I eat is interesting to me. Because, like, all the dim sum breakfast, a lot of that stuff is really weird to a lot of people. But to me, it's just food that I like. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the line is in terms of interesting.
Well, Rim, I think you also purposefully eat a lot of foods that just not many other people eat.
What? Like what?
You're always like, what? You just talked yesterday about you ate the pet.
Paten?
Yeah.
You know what? Because I'd never had it before, and I finally had it, and it's fucking awesome.
No, I didn't say it wasn't, but I'm saying you intentionally seem to go out of your way to try all kinds of foods, especially if you think or if they are unpopular in the U.S.
The first part I won't disagree with. I do like to try all sorts of different foods. I'll try just about any food once because I'm curious about it, and I've discovered a lot of good foods that way. I don't see any backing for the second part at all.
Because all your favorite foods are unpopular in America foods.
What are my favorite foods, Scott?
Let's see, what does Rim really like?
Because I can tell you what one of my favorite...
White Castle.
White Castle is pretty popular.
White Castle's not so popular.
Besides, I really like White Castle. What's wrong with that? You're saying that somehow I like White Castle because it's rare or because other people don't like it?
That's just one of the things you like.
My favorite meal is raw red meat. How is that weird? How is that special? How
Because
is that
most
exotic?
people don't get it so raw. That's the only thing, you
But
always...
it tastes better raw. That's the only reason. If I didn't like the taste of it raw, I wouldn't waste my $20 on a steak getting it raw. I'd get it cooked however it tastes the best.
I don't know. Last week you had it cooked pretty raw, and then you put it back on there.
Actually, I cut it in half. I ate half of it raw, and I cooked the other half to be rare because I wanted to have both.
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Always. And then you're putting your dill on your grilled cheese to make it weird. No one does that.
Actually, you know how I learned to put dill on my grilled cheese? From the dill bottle. The bottle of dill had some suggestions on it. It said, like, what dill is used for. And I also looked on some recipe sites. And it says that dill is really good on pork and anything with pork. It's really good to be mixed with cheeses and any cheese dish.
Grilled cheese?
Yeah, so I started putting it on grilled cheese, and it's really good. Dill is also really good in omelets and scrambled eggs.
You just put all sorts of... it's like you can't eat something just plain. You always got to reach for that spice box and put all sorts of crap on
All sorts of crap. I put dill on my grilled cheese.
You do lots of stuff.
Like what?
Whenever you cook anything, you just throw
Like
so
what?
much crap in there.
What do I put in there? When I make sauce, sometimes I put a bunch of paprika in to make it spicier.
You do lots of stuff.
Like what?
Whenever you cook, there's always ends up being 4 or 5 spices out. You buy all kinds of spices that I would never even think of using ever.
I haven't bought spices in over a year.
Because you just keep using the ones you already bought.
Because I bought all the spices I use.
Yeah, you use a lot of spices. That's all I'm saying.
But I haven't run out of any of them. The only one we ran out of, we didn't actually run out of. We just lost it, and then we found it later.
Anyway.
You're not... I don't see where you're coming from with this.
You spice up your food so much, and you put ketchup on your eggs.
You're supposed to put ketchup on eggs.
No, you're not.
You realize more Americans do than don't.
Yeah, most Americans are dumb.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Besides, you're the one who makes the McDonald's egg. I make an omelet, and I make it like...
You don't make an omelet.
When I make an omelet, I make
Never.
it like an
When's the last
omelet.
time you made an omelet?
The last time I made an omelet, I failed.
Yeah.
But
When's the last time before that?
A few months ago, and I made an omelet with onion.
I don't think so.
And some slightly stale taco cheese.
When did this happen?
You realize I get home before you every day.
Yeah, so you could just make up any story, and then I'm supposed to assume that's true.
Well, no, I mean, if we don't have any food to eat and I'm hungry, I make some eggs or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, so... Let's keep going up this list of ideas. How much time do we have left in this crazy show?
We can
anyway?
stop anytime. Good God.
So we'll only do a couple more of these ideas.
We should stop now.
Well, I'll do one more.
All right, it's all you.
Antitrust laws.
All right, that would be a topic that would require a lot of research and a lot of effort.
And what do I know about antitrust laws? You're not allowed to be a monopoly.
I know quite a bit. I could talk about the history of antitrust laws and all the things that start, during the Industrial Revolution and the oil industry and the oil
railroads.
barons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rockefeller and all them.
But even so, it requires a lot of research. What do we know about antitrust laws that, it's more of something an economist would know, so we'd have to research it.
Well, I know about the history of them, but that's just because I took, basic high school civics and basic high school history.
Yeah, but it's like, it's also, this is another too broad an idea. It's got to be more specific, like history of antitrust laws, or what are the antitrust laws, or recent antitrust infractions. Like we could do a whole show on Microsoft's antitrust
That's
deal
a Monday.
alone. Yeah. I'm just saying in general, that's...
I don't know. I think you're asking too much of these people. I mean, they just need to give us a seed idea, and then we go from there. We can pick what direction we want to go with the idea.
It's true, but it just feels like going through these ideas, people submit them, and we don't actually end up thinking up a better show to do besides talk about all the ideas people came up with.
That's just because all the ideas are food. Don't ever suggest food. We're not going to do food episodes. We're done.
Go listen to a cooking podcast, people.
And then tell us which ones are good.
Yes.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.